There was a time when toys didn't blink for attention. They didn't need screens, updates, or batteries that lasted 5 minutes. In the 1960s and 1970s, dolls were built differently, not to entertain kids for a moment, but to stay in their lives for years. They were meant to feel real, heavy in the arms, quietly watching from a shelf, sometimes comforting, sometimes unsettling. Back then, realism wasn't questioned. If a doll cried, talked, moved, or stared back, that was considered progress. Today, we look back and realize something else was happening. Toy makers weren't just selling dolls. They were experimenting with emotion, responsibility, and realism, often pushing it a little too far. These are 15 dolls from the 60s and 70s that crossed the line between toy and something almost human. 1. Betsy Wetsy. Betsy Wetsy wasn't designed to be cute. She was designed to function. She drank from a bottle. She wet her diaper. And she demanded care. For many children, she was their first experience with responsibility. You fed her. You cleaned her. You learned that actions had consequences. At the time, this wasn't seen as strange. It was preparation, a way to teach caregiving through play. Looking back now, it feels surprisingly intense. Betsy Wetsy didn't just sit there. She relied on you. 2. Tiny tears. Tiny tears went one step further. She didn't just pretend to cry. She produced real tears. Squeeze her, and moisture filled her eyes. Release her, and she sobbed softly in your arms. For children, this felt magical. For adults today, it feels eerie. Tiny tears responded emotionally. She mirrored sadness. And that created a bond that felt deeply personal. It wasn't imagination anymore. It was interaction. 3. Baby Beautiful. Baby Beautiful didn't arrive alone. She came with furniture, a bassinet, blankets, accessories that made her feel like a hospital newborn. Everything about her presentation suggested realism. Even her name implied responsibility. She wasn't a doll you tossed aside. She was placed, tucked in, watched over. Baby Beautiful wasn't about fantasy. She was about routine. 4. Bye Bye Baby. Bye Bye Baby didn't stay still. She belonged in a high chair. She sat upright. She joined meals. She became part of the household rhythm. This doll wasn't played with on the floor. She existed at the table. That subtle design choice changed everything. Playtime became imitation of adult life. For some kids, it felt empowering. For others, exhausting. 5. Toodles. Toodles came with her own shopping cart. She didn't cry. She didn't sleep. She followed you. Toy aisles recognized something important in the late 60s. Kids didn't just want babies. They wanted stories. Toodles turned playtime into errands. Daily life. Movement through space. It was realism disguised as fun. 6. Dancerina. Dancerina didn't need imagination. She performed. Touch her crown, and she spun. Touch it again, and she reversed direction. She moved with intention, with timing, with music. For a child, it felt like magic. For adults today, it feels mechanical, almost too precise. Dancerina didn't wait for you. She danced on her own terms. 7. Baby's Hungry. Baby's Hungry didn't fake eating. She appeared to chew. Her mouth moved. Her cheeks shifted. Her eyes reacted. Feeding her felt uncomfortably realistic. Less like play, more like caretaking. She didn't reward imagination. She demanded attention. And once you noticed that, you couldn't unsee it. 8. Growing Up Skipper. Growing Up Skipper didn't stay the same age. Twist her arm, and she grew. Taller, older, different. She crossed life stages instantly, from child to teenager. In the 70s, this was innovation, a way to stretch playtime. Today, it feels symbolic, a reminder of how fast childhood disappears. 9. Baby Say NC. Baby Say NC talked. Her lips moved, her eyes shifted, and she spoke directly to you. Sometimes she whispered, sometimes she stared. One phrase stood out. I can see in the dark. For some kids, it was thrilling. For others, unforgettable for the wrong reasons. This doll didn't just speak. She watched. 10. Drowsy Baby Secret. Drowsy Baby Secret didn't shout. She whispered. Pull her string, and she spoke softly, as if she didn't want anyone else to hear. This wasn't a loud toy. It was intimate. And that intimacy made her powerful and unsettling. She felt like she had secrets, and she was sharing them with you alone. 11. Baby First Step. Baby First Step walked. Not with a remote. Not with assistance. She moved on her own. Watching her cross the floor felt impressive and strange. She didn't wait to be played with. She initiated movement. That independence blurred the line between toy and presence. 12. Cheerful tearful. Cheerful tearful had moods. Lift her arm, and she smiled. Lower it, and she frowned. She cried real tears. She responded to handling. For many children, she introduced emotional responsibility. Make her happy. Keep her calm. She didn't exist for comfort. She required it. 13. Swingy. Swingy was released in 1969, and she was all motion. She danced. She flipped her hair. She moved to her own record. Swingy wasn't a baby. She was personality. She reflected the changing culture, music, movement, expression. She didn't ask to be cared for. She demanded attention. 14. Charmin Chatty. Charmin Chatty spoke constantly. With interchangeable records, she delivered over 100 phrases. Her wardrobe matched her dialogue. Dress her differently, and she responded accordingly. She wasn't just talking. She was reacting. This wasn't pretend conversation. It was scripted interaction, and it felt remarkably advanced for its time. 15. Troll dolls. Troll dolls didn't move. They didn't speak. They didn't cry. And yet, they unsettled people anyway. Wild hair, glassy eyes, permanent expressions. They didn't imitate humans, they distorted them. And somehow, they became everywhere. Proof that realism wasn't the only thing that made dolls memorable. Final thoughts. These dolls weren't mistakes. They were experiments, built during a time when realism was trusted, not feared. They weren't meant to be creepy. They were meant to feel alive. And in many ways, they succeeded. Looking back, what surprises us isn't how strange they seem now. It's how normal they felt then. Because once you saw these dolls in motion, once you heard them speak, cry, or move on their own, you never really forgot them. If this video stirred a memory, like the video and subscribe to American Restored. Because understanding the toys of the past helps us understand the childhoods that shaped them.